made it. Yeah.
So
Made it.
I guess, now that we've laid that all out and established that there's been, working on it for 4 years, do you still resonate with these songs? I think is the next question. Like, you've been sitting on these for so long.
For a long time, I would say there were tracks that I didn't resonate with, but I realized recently within the last couple months where I was like, the reason I didn't resonate with this is because I've heard this more than anybody. This has been playing in my head for, 4 years is like thousands of days. That's like
Yeah.
It's a long time.
1,300 days.
Long ass time.
Like that's a lot of hours, a lot of minutes, a lot of times where I've just been thinking about exclusively this album, or it's been on the back of my mind, or we've been up in the van like chopping about it, playing demos and being like, how do I get this to where it's supposed to be? And then like when I took that break from the record where I kind of just wasn't thinking about it or listening to it till it was out, the press cycle kind of started, and I was getting into, okay, like let's talk about the songs, let's listen to them again. And the one that always has resonated with me since I wrote it was Lost Signal. That was the last song. That was the only one that wasn't written in COVID. That was written in like, I want to say like December 2022 or January 2023. Is the latest addition to the album. We actually did not record it with the record. I'll get into that in a second. But most of the songs I still really resonate with. There's some that I weirdly have this like nostalgia for the time I was feeling in it. I would say that's like that's the Virals of the world, the fucking Blue Light Blooms. I like feel very nostalgic for how I was in that moment. But I think something that makes these songs a little bit easier for me to resonate with over time is that a lot of them are coming from very different perspectives and are about a lot of different things. Like Underneath My Skin is something I think I'll always feel like the same about, where it's just like I have such a problem with being perceived. It's just like such a thing that has never, it's always just felt like static and fire in my brain where I'm like, oh my God. Like if I see someone talking about something I've done, especially if it's not in a musical sense, I'm just like, it feels like my brain was not built to perceive this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like someone who doesn't know me,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always feel that way. Dirty Mirror Selfie, I think like I definitely still resonate with that song a lot. I resonate with The Closer a lot still. I resonate with Higher Road. But I think that on this record a little bit more than other ones, it's like I hate to use the word slice of life because I don't think they're slice of life. I think they're like little like vertical sections of like my mentality in a moment. Because I think on this record versus like a Somewhere City, where a lot of that stuff is kind of like feels out of time, right? It feels like it's like this bigger thing coming, a bigger message that's not like a one narrator. It's kind of just like trying to be something that was bigger and spoke to more people than just myself, right? And I think honestly, like that being that way for Somewhere City, it was a lot of pressure on me. I felt as if I always had to be right, or that I always had to be saying something that was constructive or positive, and something that would like uplift or be thoughtful. And it's crazy because like I'll revisit the record and I love it and I love playing those songs, but I'm just like, I feel like I've done things that are 10 times more this thoughtful, just like, but I've critiqued myself so much for it, right? Because I've developed this inner voice that's like a critic that will criticize me more than anybody ever will. But I think something going into Feeling Not Found that really was able to help the progress of the record and kind of help the narrative was for me to allow myself to be wrong in songs and sing from a perspective of not knowing, and sing from a perspective of like wrong statements. So for like, I guess what I'm trying to say, an example, like the ones I think about a lot are Second Grade, Foo Fight, and HM07 Waterfall, where the main thesis of those two songs is, oh, my life is super overwhelming and like I see so much stuff that I don't want to see, and all this stuff has been building to a really negative thing, and it's so negative on my brain. I have the solution. I should cut myself off from every person that I know and love and stop enjoying the things that I like, because that's healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like it's a terrible message, right?
Yes.
But it's what I was feeling, and it's honest. So like I think in that way, since they feel more like vertical sections of like a point, a timeline where I was, where it feels like, okay, that I don't necessarily feel like that anymore, but I know how that shit felt for me. You know, like so when I revisit when we play and we're practicing like HMO7 Waterfall, I'm like, this song is I still feel the same way as when I wrote it, where it's second grade, I still feel the same way. Like those two are big examples of it, but I think it pops up a lot on the record where there are these sectional periods of like it's more of a it's not trying to be out of time. It's trying to be very in time, like in this one point of a timeline. And I think because of that, when we play it, when I hear it back, I'm taken back to that moment. So I have like a weird nostalgia for these songs since it's been such a long time for them. But I definitely resonate with them a lot still, and some of them more than I ever did.
Well, that's good to
so
hear.
Good.
Yeah. Because, you know, when I pose that question to people that, you know, have been sitting on a record for so long, usually the answer winds up being like, no, I'm ready to move on to the next one. But it's good that like you were able to find new meaning in some songs or never lost the meaning in the songs to begin with.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of just the nature of the songs, but also I think that like in a funny way, I think that, you know, it's a circle, right? Where it's like you can start here and be like, these songs mean everything to me. And then by the time it releases, you're like, they don't mean the same thing to me.
Songs.
But I think we took so much more time that it went all the way around. To
you
be like,
went in that circle.
Yeah, we took instead of the 2 years, it was a whole 4, and it came all the way back.
Oh,
the circle is 4 years long, and you completed the circle.
Nobody knows about the circle. It's 4 years, and everyone's been the industry has been normalized in this 2.5 year shit. No, guys, come on, just take 4.
Ahead of the game.
Let's slow the industry down. It's moving too fast.
Yeah.
That's true, but
that's actually like really